Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still start dropping. He's left on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Tuesday nights. This is UkSimracers MX5 Season 2 2024 Round 4 Summer Season live from the Redbull Ring. I'm James Parfitt. I'm going to be joined in the booth by Tom Cairnes again here this evening, who covered for me so well last week with Mr. Dean Biggles while I was on holiday in Spain as I flew back in early Monday morning. Let's keep you up to date with the standings. So this is the overalls. This is the 2 seasons currently taking place at the moment. Dan Hunt leading the way on 1,852 with PVG on 1,814. Then you got Tom Griffiths on 1,813. Jamie Wilson in 4th with Pete Newman, Jamie Ayres, Ralph Cullen and Charles Kellerman, Steve Hefford and Colin Sampson rounding out the top 10. Then you got Darryl Wright, Fiona Siddons, Martin Sampson, Miles Owens, Andy Littler, Alan Toon, Darren McLean and Steve Hansford. Below that, Ollie Ricks, John Sylvester, Mick Barry, Ewan Bramer and Callum McPherson. Then Roger Morton, Arnold Chonier, Craig Jones, Dan Dennison, Dan Lewis and Dries Nice, who was here, I believe, for the first time last week. In this season's standings in the pros currently at this moment in time, you can see from the standings PVG out in front on 457 with Jamie Wilson in second on 452. Then you got Dan Hunt on 335. Then Pete Newman, Tom Griffiths, Steve Hefford, Ralph Cullen and Jamie Ayres, Martin Sampson and Dries Nice rounding out the top 10. Dan Dennison, Ewan Bramer, John Sylvester and Miles Owens at the bottom end yet to score points or race in general. In the AMs, it's Ollie Ricks out in front on 468. Charles Kellerman in second on 329, 1 point ahead of Darryl Wright and Roger Morton in 4th on 317. Then you've got Darren McLean, Fiona Siddons, Colin Sampson, Alan Toon, Andy Littler, Steve Hansford, Mick Barry, Arnold Chonier, Callum McPherson and Craig Jones. Let's bring in Tom for a chat. Tom, welcome in, buddy. How are you?
Thank you very much, James. Hello to everyone. We are at the Styrian Mountains of the Redbull Ring in Spielberg, Austria, and we are very much looking forward to some fantastic racing around this particular course. We've just seen someone spinning around during the practice session there, but that's the whole point of practice anyway. You are going to see drivers pushing to the limits, and people will be very much hot on the back of what they saw at the Redbull Ring at the weekend, most particularly between Mr. Lando Norris and Mr. Max Verstappen at turn number 3 at the Remus curve. And yeah, that's going to live on into Silverstone this weekend. I can very much imagine so.
Yeah.
But away from Formula One, in regards to the UkSimracers Championship, in terms of the AM Championship in the summer season, Ollie Ricks is very much in a league of his own at the moment, but there is very much a 2-horse race, you could say, at this point in the campaign in Pro, James. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think that's the thing when you're looking at the standings throughout this season so far. I think overall, PVG leading the pros on 457, Jamie Wilson is second on 452. Now, the question is, if you look at the overalls and put these scores with the AMs, it's actually Ollie Ricks out in front of all of them on 468. He's on for taking the overall championship currently this season if he carries on his points haul that he's been doing. But I think the pros, I'm not going to count out the likes of Dan Hunt. I'm not going to count out the likes of Pete Newman, Tom Griffith, Steve Hefford, or even Ralph Cullinan, because I think they're all in with a chance of winning. And I think going in to the rest of this season, it's going to be very interesting to see how this one all pans out. And I think it could be a very, very close season indeed.
Very much so. And for those who've just joined in on the live stream, do get involved in the live chat if you ever ever wish to do so, if I can get the correct words out. And make sure you subscribe as well in case you haven't already done so. We are aiming to try and get to 2,000 subscribers as soon as possible, really. And looking at all these images around the Redbull Ring, I can very much see why people go to this venue, James. I don't know if you've ever been to the Redbull Ring, but it has undergone some changes since the old Oostenrijk Ring that was on the Formula 1 calendar in the 70s and the 80s. It had its hiatus from the Formula 1 calendar for 10 years before it was renovated by the German designing guru himself, Hermann Tilke. In fact, the Redbull Ring, or the A1 Ring as it was known back in the 90s, was the very first circuit to be either renovated or designed by the man himself. The circuit being the first to be renovated, and of course the first one to be designed was, of course, the Sepang International Circuit in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur. But in terms of your thoughts of this racetrack, James, what memories does it bring back to you?
I think in general, I've done a lot of racing here in sim racing, and I do love the Redbull Ring. You know, I've commentated on a race that was coming down. It was in the old W12s, I believe it was, back along, and literally it was coming down on the final lap to the final corner. The guy out in front broke a little bit early into the last corner because he was ahead and wanted to make sure he was. And then the guy behind went and unfortunately broke later where he normally breaks and ceremoniously went over the top of him. So yeah, them two, it all went a little bit Pete Tong on the final lap of that race in regards to obviously what I've watched in sim racing. I think generally, real life, this circuit can be a very DRS trained circuit, and we did see a little bit over that weekend. You know, I was sat in my hotel down in the bar watching the race with my son, who really wanted to watch it. You know, you've got 3 DRS zones, you've got the start finish straight, you've got this one long run up into Remus as well, and then you've got the run down Schlossgold down into what is effectively turn 3 in general, unless you're on the motorcycle Grand Prix circuit, and then you count the kink to the left as 2, 3, 4 and 5. But I think, you know, it can be a very DRS train orientated track, and just purely because of them 3 zones that are active there. And I think the thing with this weekend, and I know there was obviously controversy over the weekend, and a lot of people thought the same thing. There was a lot of moving under braking, there was a lot of door closing. Could Lando have been a little bit more patient? Probably. Did he really need to go for some of the dives he went to? Well, one of them, if he'd managed to get the car stopped, would have been amazing, but as we know, didn't, and pushed Verstappen off the side of the circuit. But I think it was always going to come that way to how closely they were racing. But I think these guys in the MX5s here this evening, they've done a lot of practice. A couple of them have been going up this practice session for the good last few hours. And I think we could be in for one of them races that really provides action from the moment we get going all the way through to the end of the race. And I think with the 4 races, we've obviously got 4 15 minutes. We've got a top 9 reverse for race 2 as well. Random grid for race 3, and then we'll bring you up the reverse later on after we have a break after race 2. These guys don't ever disappoint, right? And you know, I swear down and declare now it's still the best MX5 iRacing league I've ever watched in my life. And you know, we've been with these guys for 2 years as well, so I'm expecting action, but I'm hoping that we don't get a lot of collisions with that action, because we have seen it before in certain races, and you did mention to me in the green room that there was a few collisions last week that we hopefully won't see that much. But there are pulsing opportunities, you know, going down into turn 1 in Niki Lauda, going up to 2 in Remus, going down into 3 in Schlossgold as well. But as we know with these guys, if there's a space, there's going to be an overtake. So I don't really feel it's going to matter where the overtakes come. I just think that these guys have got to try and keep it clean. And one of the things they're going to have to look towards as well is off tracks. Off track is going to be massive here. with the new renovated, obviously, track as well, the distinguishing blue and red curves. We've not got that on iRacing. We've still got the kind of the old scanned layout, and off tracks are very, very tight. One of them coming out of turn 1 there, that is an off track going out of turn 1. So they've got to be careful here, Tom. This track could end up really killing them with off tracks if they're not careful.
Especially at this stage, their tyres are going to be in the top grip phase, so if they don't get the lap that they want, then they're going to be very much suffering in the remainder of this session unless they head back to the pits and get another set of tyres on, which is very much possible around the circuit. You know, it's only 4.3 kilometres long. We've seen times around about 148s, 149s. Is there enough time to get a change of tyres on and head back out and still get a lap in? Because unlike in Formula 1, when the checkered flag falls, that's essentially the end of the session. So they don't get to complete the laps that they are on, which is a bit of a bummer, but it is what they have to live with, unfortunately.
Well, these guys have got to be even more careful with the real-life rules, or the rules that has been in this league now for a couple of years, if not before we as a company joined them. They can't go back to the pits in qualifying. So if they crash and they go out, they're out. If they crash, or if they've got their tyres are going off because they've pushed too hard and they can't go in and get new ones, they're out. That's it. They've got to make sure that they do withhold and cope with what they've got on them at the moment. You can see Tom Griffiths has got 2 purples on the board. He's sitting in that mid pack. He's benefiting from the draft that's coming from the 46 in front of him as well. And I believe that is Jamie Ayres and PVG and Dan Hunt in front of that. So I'm expecting Tom to go on to pole. We're going to see times coming in rapidly, very, very shortly as they've done their outlap. Dan Hunt goes across the line. Griffiths goes over the line, 148.915. As we said, he's on pole. They've got no tyre choices. This is it. This is their hurrah. They've gone out now. They've got to get the best. And as I say, lap 1, 2, 3, probably going to be their best laps. We'll get to about 5, maybe 4 minutes left of qualifying, and we'll see it stagnate. It's always the same because there's just not that tyre life or that tyre grip left in the cars for them to be able to improve their times.
Tom Griffiths fastest then with a 148.9 in the Pro. In case you're wondering who is in Pro and who is in AM, if you look on the timing tower on the left-hand side, those in yellow, including Tom Griffiths, who we've just seen a red counter there. It's gone away to yellow, but that's because of the camera being focused on Griffiths there. But he's in Pro, like Jamie Ayres, Dan Hunt, Jamie Wilson and Ralph Cullingham, and the likes of Darrell Wright, Charles Kellerman, Ollie Ricks, who is the runaway leader in the category in the Summer Championship this year so far. His time hasn't come up on the board yet, and I would assume it's probably because of track limits, but we'll see in due course. No,
you are right. There's a lot of people that have got track limits on the board at the moment. PVG has got one, has got 3. Colin Sampson's got, what's he got? No, PVG's got 1. Colin Sampson's got 3. Steve Hansford's got 1. There's a lot of times behind this right the way from here. Martin Sampson's got 2. Steve Efford's on 1. Andy Littler's hasn't got any at the moment. I'm expecting a time from him very, very shortly. Fiona Siddons is another one. Roger Morton, Mick Barry, Sir Alan Toot, Darren McLean, PVG. So, you know, you're going to see them hopefully be able to get the times on board. But as I say, off tracks are plenty at Red Bull Ring. They've got to be careful. They've got to make sure they can make it last. And that is basically what we're going to be looking out for. It'll be the person with the least amount of off tracks that will be able to push and push and push towards the end of qualifying and make sure that any improvements on their time as well. So Alan Toon is going to be coming over the line very, very shortly. He's obviously got his best sectors, partly due to the fact this will be, and hopefully, his first flying lap. Is it Sir Alan Toons? It is on a 153.768. He's got the Irishman of Ralph Cullinan tucked up right behind him, coming into the Nicky Lauda turn. Curve at turn 1. So a lot happening already throughout. I think we're going to have to give these guys a few minutes just to settle down here, see who's going to be where, see how they're going to be coming on. You know, we've got the likes of Mick Barry trying to get times on the board. He's on his way through the final quarter as well. This is going to be very, very interesting. This is going to be very, very exciting. And if you are sat at home, don't forget, sit back, get a drink, grab your popcorn, because trust me, you are not going to be disappointed with this one, Tom. And I don't think me and you are either.
No, and Mick Barry circulating around in that rather eye-catching pink and... is it pink or is it purple? I can't...
It is a pink, yeah.
Yeah, okay. But he's got the pink rims on the tyres anyway, so it's going to be quite one to look out for more reasons than one. with Mick Barry. Hopefully he can redeem himself from last week, because he was in the wars for a lot of the 4 races he was doing, so he needs a little bit of redemption here at the Rebel Ring if he can. Tom Griffiths fastest, then had Jamie Ayres with Pete Thungle in 3rd place. It's Del Wright, the fastest of all those in AM in 4th. Steve Hefford and Dan Hunt are next in Pro. Roger Morton, 2nd fastest of AM in 7th. Had a Jamie Wilson, Ralph Cullingham and Martin Sampson. Ollie Ricks, who won 2 of last week's races, won all 4 at Watkins Glen a fortnight ago. He is 3rd in AM as we speak, ahead of Darren McLean, Charles Cullinan, Andy Lickler, Mick Barry and Sir Alan Toome. Fiona Siddons has yet to get a time on the board at the moment, as far as I'm aware.
Yep.
There we go. There is Fiona Siddons, who should be coming through to complete her first flying lap, providing it's a legal one. So they'll be heading over the line. There are still a few greens hanging around, so some drivers still improving. Fiona Siddons going to 14th quickest and 6th in AM. There is Mick Barry, who's aiming for an improvement on his 1 minute 53.3. It should be an improvement. It's not a representative time that he posted there, Mick Barry, but he's still got time to improve. We've got less than 7 minutes to go. So he's probably looking at around another 4 laps to try and improve, but those tyres will go away quite rapidly, given how abrasive. Well, I say abrasive, it's not a track that it's hard on tyres because there's not many corners. Because we saw in Formula 1, they brought the C3, C4 and C5, which are the softest compounds, in contrast to what we saw in Barcelona the weekend before.
Yeah.
The C1, C2 and C3. So I don't know how you want to assess that, James, on this particular layout.
I think the thing is, it's only 15 minutes. They've got 4 15-minute heats to get some new tyres at the end of race 1 for race 2. And I think overall, they can push the tyres. You know, I not expected a massive amount of tyre deg. And I think some of these, Ollie Rick's just gone into the pits there. He's going to be in 12th place and will end up stationary in that mark at the moment. Dan Hunt's got some greens on the board. We'll go back to that tyre conversation very, very shortly. Just want to see if Dan Hunt makes an improvement. He should be, but can he keep it on? Oh, that is going to be close on that last corner as well. As we know, anybody that drives the Red Bull Ring on iRacing, the off tracks are plenty. It is very, very tight. He goes up into 3rd, 149, 150. Regarding tyres, 15 minutes, they should be able to push like a trooper. Hopefully not have any problems in general, but you're never going to know. I think we've watched the likes of Mick Barry get probably banker times more than actually significant times that you're seeing improvement. Alan Toone just improving on a 151 214 there as well. So I think a lot of people are trying to get them banker lap in first, Tom, before they then push to get more of an improvement. And I think Mick Barry, Andy Littler, Fiona Siddons, Charles Kellerman, they're all done that, and I think we are going to expect them to be pushing forward and forward and forward. Tom Griffiths has gone back to the pits. He clearly feels he's safe this late on.
It's interesting he's gone back into the pit lane, unless he feels like his tyres have gone off and he hasn't got time to go in and come back out again. I mean, mind you, having said that, Ollie Ricks is back on the circuit for your information, so I don't know if he's on another set of tyres to try and move himself up the order. It's really good to pick up on that. Tom Griffiths in the pits, and as is Del Wright and Mick Barry. Mick Barry probably going in to get another set of tyres on. He's got enough time to do that. You know, he's got time to get the out lap and the flying lap done. He's got just over 4 minutes. So if he's going to head back out, he needs to do it now, really. Tom Griffiths is doing that, James. So he is clearly on another set of tyres, and I would expect somewhat of an improvement here. But the rest have carried on with their old sets.
I am surprised on that one. I'm just doing some research. You can... Okay, so there's a rule 2.16 there. If you crash or damage your car, you can only repair as much as the pit crew manages. No resetting allowed. So that basically means you can't request a new car. If you request a tow to the pits, you are retired for the remainder of the session. You can change tyres and refuel. Leaving the car means you forfeit the remainder of the qualifying session. So they can change tyres and refuel, but they can't go back and try and get a new car, which you can do in iRacing. You jump into qualifying, jump in that car, request new car, and it gives you a brand new one. They can't do that, but they are able to change tyres and refuel. So we'll keep an eye out. Some of these guys have already got into the pits and probably might stay there for the next 3 minutes.
Well, we'll keep an eye on Tom Griffiths then to see if he is going to improve. He's coming towards the end of his outlap at the moment. He's going through turn 7 and 8. He's only going to have one shot at this, though, JP. Is he coming to a slow down there?
Yeah, he's coming to a stop. He's got, the weirdest thing is he's got nobody in front of him. You can see by the track map on the right-hand side that he's got no one in front of him. So there's no reason for him to be slowing to try and make a gap unless he's going to all of a sudden absolutely nail it. But then he's going to be in the clutches of 12th place man Ollie Ricks, who's going to be coming rip-roaring past him very, very shortly, unless, of course, he's trying to pick up the toe for what will be he is. There you go. He's up and running now. So, I think Tom Griffiths may be trying to utilise the toe of Ollie Ricks, but I think he might need to get up to speed a little bit quicker than that, because he is quite a way off Ollie Ricks at this moment in time.
He is actually, as they cross over the line to begin their last timed laps. Only 1 minute 50, so they've got to nail it on this lap now. Do Ollie Ricks and Tom Griffiths. Colin Sampson moving up the order there into 12th fastest and 4th in AM. That pushes Ollie Ricks down to 5th. So both Ricks and Griffiths, as we see a car spinning around on the exit of turn 1.
I believe that Darren McLean, I believe.
Yeah, Darren McLean's just spun, but that's not important right now. What we need to focus on is the 6-time race winner, at least this season anyway, Ollie Ricks. It might be 7. I don't know if he can't remember. He had one at Sebring a few weeks back, but he is in red hot form either way. Tom Griffiths in hot form as well. 2 wins last week at the at Alton Park, and now they are aiming for poles essentially in both pro and Darrell Wright's the fastest at the moment in Tom Griffiths is the fastest in pro, and it's likely he'll keep hold of that. He'll want to try and get an improvement in lap time to cement his place on the starting grid for race number 1.
Yeah, I think pole could play a massive part. I think that's the thing. I think pole here could be absolutely massive for some of these guys to see how they get on. Now, currently, Ollie's not improving. Neither is Tom Griffiths here. He's not improving either. But I think it's 148.915 with the likes of Hunt, PVG, Ayres, Hefford, Wright all in the pits. Jamie Wilson's still out on the track as well. He's got no improvements kicking in currently at the moment either. He's not going to be able to utilise the dry off because he's going to be too far behind these guys. That's going to be an off track. That's going to be an invalid lap. And with 7 seconds remaining, Tom Griffiths absolutely knows it as well. Will be kicking himself. Ollie Ricks does get a time, goes over the line. And that is the end of qualifying. So we can bring you up the grid very, very shortly. The grid for race 1. Tom Griffiths gone out, done what he needed to do, Tom. Dominated it. Job done.
Yeah, absolutely no problem at all for Tom Griffiths. You could tell by how well he had practiced just beforehand, and it's no surprise to see him starting at the front of the grid. We should have a starting grid for race number 1, James. Do we have a starting grid?
We do. Tom Griffiths sitting on pole position. Dan Hunt in 2nd. PVG in 3rd with Jamie Ayres in 4th. Steve Hefford in 5th. Darrell Wright leading the way in the AMs with Jamie Wilson in 7th. Then Roger Morton, Darren McLean, Ralph Cullinan, Martin Sampson and Colin Sanson rounding out the top 12. Ollie Ricks, Charles Kellerman, Sir Alan Toome, Fiona Siddons, Andy Littler, Steve Hansford, Mick Barry and Pete Newman's not got time on the board. I'm not entirely sure if he is going to be in the session, but I think overall it's going to be a very, very interesting one here. Let's see how these guys get up. The likes of Tom Griffiths is going to be looking to try and get off the line as quickly as he can. The ideal line would be the inside line with Dan Hunt, but Tom Griffiths will be able to take his racing line. Let's see how they get on. We're just waiting for Sir Alan Toone and Pete Newman. As I say, I don't think Pete's going to be taken to the start line here either. I think he might have had some form of issue. For Pete Newman was in the practice session, not on the racetrack, so we're going to have to wait the 2 minutes that they get for gridding, which is in about 24 seconds, before we bring you up the red lights. Gives us a great opportunity. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on the bells as well, guys, as we're nearing that 2k followers. That would be absolutely amazing. But hold on to your hats, get your popcorn, get your drinks, sit back, relax, because I can tell you one thing, this is going to go off big style with a Red Bull ring. Now we're going to be starting seeing some lights very, very shortly. We'll see the session flick over, and there they are. We've got one, have we got one light? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and round 4 is up and running, and we are underway. Tom Griffiths got off the line. Dan Hunt tucked right out in behind him. PVG behind that, and Jamie Ayres on the left of the screen in the blue and red. Steve Hefford in the yellow, but it is Tom Griffiths who takes the whole shot down into turn 1. Dan Hunt tucked up right behind him as well with PVG, Jamie Ayres, Steve Hefford, and Jamie Wilson, the only man to make a place up in the top 10 here, Tom. But as we said, Tom Griffiths had to get off the line, and he did that well.
He did the basics at the start, did Tom Griffiths, cutting across Dan Hunt, who tried to make a run on him into turn 1, but look, he's going to go for it round the outside into the Remus curve before they turn right. Griffiths holds his line. Hunt runs a little bit wide, needs to be careful with track limits and make sure he doesn't gain an advantage on the exit there. And now they'll be coming towards turn number 4, which is the Schlossgold corner, and I think Hunt has got his nose in front of Tom Griffiths here.
Yeah, Tom's got to go late on the brakes down into Schlossgold. He's got to open up the steering just a little bit, give Dan Hunt something to think about. Hunt's going to have the inside as they come round the left-hander of Roush now. Hunt is going to have the inside. They're still going side by side. I did say at the top of the show, if there's a gap, there's a place, these guys are going to fill it. It doesn't matter where on the racetrack they are, but you can see the three Momo boys behind that. PVG, Ayres, Hefford fighting it out. And you got Jamie Wilson in the mix as he's trying to make it free wide going into Worth, coming out of turn 7, round the turn 8, coming down into 9. Wilson's going to have the inside line. Morton is tucked up in behind there as well in that 92 Pure Sims livery machine, leading the way currently for the AMs there. Roger Morton, he's got Darrell right behind. Has he got the job done on Jamie Wilson? They're going to be side by side. Wilson from Team Chimera, Morton from Pure Sims, and it's still running side by side round the final corner here. These two are stuck together like Velcro. Roger Morton settles back in, but look behind him as well there, Tom. You can see they're 3 and 4 wide coming up behind him.
Ollie Ricks is in amongst that. It's like a 5-car battle going into turn number 1 here. And looking at Martin Sampson that we are focusing, I think Ralph Cullingham is making a move. Oh, there's contact! Cullingham's in the wall. Does he take someone else with him? Coming back onto the racetrack. I think he just missed the rest of them. But Ralph Cullingham's season continues to go from bad to worse. You couldn't have written it, could you?
No, if you watch the inside, I think as he comes around this corner, he does come around Nicky Lauda, drifts out. Sampson's already over the yellow curb. He's got nowhere to go. Everybody manages to avoid him, but poor old Ralph Cullinan, there was nowhere for Martin Sampson to go out on that outside line there, Tom. He was far enough left as he was over the yellow rumble strip already.
It's a terrible shame there. So Ralph Cunningham falling to the back. Martin Sampson's able to keep going from there. And Dan Hunt in the lead, so with Tom Griffiths. He'll be rather happy to be second at the moment though, will Tom, because like you've mentioned earlier, he's going to get the benefit of the draft, but he's not going to sort of go for it too soon, because you don't want to take too much out of the tyres at this early stage. And you've got the likes of Pete Fungal, Jamie Ayres, Steve Hefford and Jamie Wilson, who've got every single chance of coming away with a race win here. The race is very much on between all in Pro and in AMP, most certainly.
Yeah, you've got Andy Littler, looks like he's had an incident. Mick Barry's been off the side of the circuit as well. We'll have a look back at that. We'll just give Griffiths through turn 9, through 10. Is he going to make that move up into turn 1? He's tucked in behind Dan Hunt. The draft's going to be strong. There's a lot all to play for here. These guys continually to scrap it out now. Tom Griffiths is going to get the run. Is he going to make the move? He's poked his nose out. He thinks better of it. Take your line into 1. Get him on the run up in the hill into Remus. Here he goes now. That's still quite a fast corner, Tom. Even in these little MX5 cars. That Nicky Lauda is still a fast corner. And I think Tom Griffiths may have just got himself a bargain here and a bonus because he got that run out of Remus really, out of Nicky Lauda really well.
Yeah, he couldn't have wished for a better exit coming out of the Niki Lauda curve for Tom Griffiths. In the background, Jamie Ayres got in front of Pete Van Gogh into third place as we watch Griffiths go to the outside. Does he keep it on the racetrack there? That looked rather marginal, but I think that was a legal overtake from Tom Griffiths to go back into the lead. It looks like Heffer's dropped down the order, though. I think he's had a problem somewhere.
Yeah, Steve Heffer's been off the side of the circuit. We'll just let this play out between Jamie Ayres and Dan Hunt. Ayres is on the right-hand side in that 46 machine. Hunt in the DOF reality there in that number 7. They're going to be singling side by side. Griffiths needs these guys to fight as much as possible. Ayres is looking up the inside, coming into Roush now. The left-hander through the round Roush they go. Is he going to open up the steering and give Ayres Hunt something to think about? He doesn't open it up massively. Hunt's going to have to run the outside. Is he going to be able to get the job done going into Worth turn 7? He is. Through turn 8, Tom Griffiths got the job done. Steve Heffer's had another moment. This is his second moment he's had here as well for Steve Heffert as he goes round into Roush. He's got that back end's going round there. I can spot that an absolute mile off. That was his second one as well, and this was his first one from Steve Heffert. This is originally as well where he made the error going into turn 1. Was there contact? There was contact with Mr. Wilson. So that's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, I can imagine that's going to be investigated after the session this evening. But that's left Steve with more work to do than he had hoped for, and he's down 15th position, so he's got quite some way to make up. Only Ralph Cullingham, who's still in the race, is the only driver in pro behind him.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, we go back to the lead because we've got 4 fighting it out now. Griffiths, Hunt, Ayres and Gull. And Hunt's going for it again into Remus on the blue liveried car of Griffiths. And over the curbs he go. Oh, that was very nearly contact. That almost ended in the same way as what happened with Steve Heffert and Jamie Wilson. And we've got 2 battles now, essentially 2 mini battles between Hunt and Griffiths for the lead and Gull and Ayres for third place.
Yeah, swapping backwards and forwards. Ayres lets Van Gogh take it. Hunt is not letting Griffiths. Griffiths has got to run round that wider line. Through Slosh goes they go. Didn't get the greatest of exit. Dan Hunt has retaken the lead. Jamie Ayres tucks in behind PVG. You can see there on the bottom left of your screen, PVG in the white roll barred machine from the Momo boys. So great action up the front. We've got some nice action developing between Roger Morton and Darryl McLean. This is the battle in the AMs for the AM lead, and they've got championship leader Ollie Ricks. He is coming around the corner now. He's got Darryl Wright trying to close him down, who in turn has got Callan Sampson and Jamie Wilson. So a lot of action taking place, but it is all about what's going on in front. Hunt, Griffiths, PVG and Ayres still fighting out within that top 4.
And Hunt, who has won a race this season, at least anyway. I think that was at Sebring where he had won. Tom Griffiths and Pete Van Gogh and Jamie Ayres still in the running as well. Roger Morton, for your information, is in the lead of the AM class. He's just in front of McLean. Ollie Ricks in third place in that respective group, ahead of Darryl Wright and Colin Sanson. Charles Cullinan and Fiona Siddons are next with Alan Toon right behind us. So there's actually a battle going on between Siddons and Toon for that respective position. Mick Berry, Steve Hansard and Andy Little are round out those in. And Pete Newman never got going, unfortunately, so that's a huge shame there, because we would have liked to have seen Pete Newman try and make up for all the trials and tribulations of last week, as we see Hunt lock up into Remus, and I think Griffiths may be back into the lead here, James.
Yeah, he is. He's retaking the lead. Hunt's in second. PVG's sitting in there as well. We're on board with Ayres looking forward. The front 3 in front of us. 6.5 minutes remaining. PVG's going to sweep round the outside of Dan Hunt. Is he going to be able to keep it on the track? He is. He's going to have the inside going into Roush, the turn 7 here. Hunt's going to be on the outside. What's PVG going to do? We'll stay on board with Ayres. We've got the perfect position to look back. Van Gogh did not get a good exit into that one. That's going to allow Dan Hunt to take it. I don't think PVG is going to be able to nestle in and take that position away, which he isn't there as well. And that all stemmed from PVG getting a very bad run out of Roush.
Yeah, the inside curve is not what you want to be touching at turn 6, and that had compromised Gold's line at the apex, and he's lucky to remain in front of Ayres for the time being, but he's staying within the draft of Griffiths and Hunt. They are coming around to complete lap number 5 with less than 6 minutes to go. I'd probably say we've got, how long we've got? I think probably just 4 laps. I think we've got 4 more laps to go before the check. Once the clock does reach 0, whatever lap the leader is on is their last lap. Roger Morton holding 5th ahead of McLean, and Ricks going into someone he's staying within the draft, which will help him remain clear. He's got over a second in hand on McLean. And does he sit back, or does he decide to go for it and not waste any time being held up by these in pro?
Well, I can tell you one thing, Darren McLean's got a problem because Roger Morton's got some pace. He's attached himself to this group in front, and these group in front are absolutely flying. The problem is McLean does not have the pace. Doesn't matter whether or not he's going to be able to get the draft. He gets it at about 1 second, give or take, but he needs to be closer. And if Morton just plays his cards right here, doesn't, get too much involved and allow these front guys to pull him forward, there's no reason. Jamie PVG got that entry all wrong into Sloshgold there. Ayres nearly come right into the back of him. But I think for Roger Morton, he's just got to sit there, let these guys fight. He's going to obviously want to try and go for the win because he can see Darren McLean ever closing in now, half a second back. So Morton could be in trouble just due to the fact that these front 4 are just fighting.
Hunt and Griffiths swapping places around turn number 4. So Hunt back into the lead ahead of Griffiths, and Van Gaal, has he lost connection? I think he might have... he's still in.
Back, yeah.
He's back now, okay. Hunt still in the lead, Griffiths ahead of Gaul, and as they're looking to turn 9, as you can see Hunt running wide there, that he'll need to be careful with track limits as he gets back onto the circuit, and McLean has thrown himself in play now, JP.
Yeah, he has. He definitely has. He's got himself in the mix now. He's well within that draft. You can see him pulling it down. But this is what we're talking about. We've got this draft train happening at the moment. Hunt, Griffiths, Gaul, Ayres, Morton and McLean. Wright has just cleared Ollie Ricks in the background. I'm not entirely sure how that one got done. I've got a funny feeling he may have gone up the inside of the final corner, and Darrell Wright puts himself in second. However, they're still having a great little ding-dong here. These guys fighting it out for 3rd in the table this evening. They're having a little bit of a ding-dong, Darrell Wright and Ollie Ricks. You see Tom Griffiths again trying to make the move under Dan Hunt, going around Remus. Now he's got the run all the way down into Sloshgold, and I expect this one. You can see Morton's now cleared. Oh no, he hasn't. He's still got Darrell McLean tucked in behind him. I thought Morton had got in front of Van Gaal there, but now you can see we're going 3 wide. Tom Griffiths sandwiched in the middle. Where's he going to go? Ayres is trying to make a move. Van Gaal's on the outside. Steady, boys, steady. As they go round Sloshgold. Great racing. Hunt, PVG, Ayres, Griffiths and Morton and McLean all in the mix.
Yeah, it looks like Tom Griffiths didn't have that much of a choice there. He was either he was going to end up in a collision, or he had to let both Ayres and Gaul go, and now he's going to have to let Morton go by, which he does so. Yeah, I think Griffiths is really beginning to lose momentum at the moment. Another question is, where is Ollie Ricks' pace? Because we haven't seen that from him this evening, given what we saw from him last week at Alton Park and the week before Watkins Glen.
I think the thing is, some people are just good on certain tracks and not good on others, and this might be Ollie Ricks' track that he just does not like, and I think, we all get off tracks. He's now got to minimise the damage. That's the thing. Colin Sanson's going to be on pole position. Ricks will be alongside him on the front row. He's just got to minimise what's going to happen to him, and I think minimise as much of a point loss as he possibly can to Roger Morton. I think that's the thing with Darrell Wright in there as well, Darren McLean. So it's just for Ollie Ricks, it's really just about minimising the loss of time that he's going to have here.
They all make their way through turn number 1. I'm interested to know how many of the drivers have got track limit warnings, James, because it feels to me like there's a lot of drivers going over the boundaries of the circuit at the moment, but don't know if we will see any post-race penalties. But we are seeing Pete Van Gaal going for it on Dan Hunt, or at least thinking to. Hunt goes deep, Ball remains on the apex, trying to get a good exit, but his exit is nothing in comparison to Jamie Ayres, who makes his way past him around the outside. He may have a good run on the white and red livery of Dan Hunt as they head down towards the Schlossgold right-hander. Ayres on the inside, and it looks like he's going to take the lead for the first time in this race with just over a lot to go, but not for long. He's off.
Oh, Jamie Ayres across the nose of what looked like Dan Hunt. Tom Griffiths says thank you very much. Roger Morton picks up third overall. Hunt still in there with McLean. Now this is going to be very, very close on whether or not we're going to see the final lap here, or whether or not this is going to be the checkered flag, because I can tell you one thing, they crossed that line with barely seconds remaining. So let's see what these guys do and how it's going to work out. This battling for this final lap has been quite a lot. Yes, you are right, there are a lot of high off-track counts, but we can't see the contact counts that they've had either. They've got 23 seconds, 22, 21. I think we're going to be on for a 9-lap race here, Tom.
Yeah, I was right all along. I knew there was going to be another lap after all the battling we have seen. Griffiths starts the final lap then ahead of Pete Van Gool. Roger Morton third place on track. Now, he's got McLean, who's a couple of cars behind him. How will he play this one? He's looking good for a victory, is Roger Morton, which he deserves one. He's had a very good race so far. I bet he just needs to keep it clean from here on in.
Yeah, he's got to be careful here on the outside there of that 92 machine with Dan Hunt underneath him. Darryl McLean still not letting him go. Tom Griffiths has opened up a little bit of a gap. Morton's got to be careful. He doesn't want to have the same fate that has happened to a couple of drivers coming across the nose of the person on the inside, or that in general. You know what I mean? He has to be very, very careful. Griffiths is still out in front, but now Morton is running along side by side with Darryl McLean. McLean's going to have the inside coming down into Sloshgold. Morton tucks in behind him. McLean goes out, takes his line. Morton's still there. Don't forget, this is the battle for the AM lead, or the AM victory here. Griffiths and Van Gool. McLean, oh, he's just got it all wrong, Tom. He was so close to being on it, but it is Tom Griffiths with PVG on that inside going into Roush now.
Yeah, and Gool getting into the lead, but Griffiths will have 2 more chances here, or 3 perhaps, because he's looking to the inside into turn number 7 on the Dutchman, Pete Van Gool. Is he through? The still within a car's length. And it looks like Goul's got his nose stuck in there, but look out for Dan Hunt. He's fancy going it on the pair of them as they come towards turn number 9. Dan Hunt, go for it! And he's going to take the lead of the Pro Class as they come around to complete their final lap here at the Redbull Ring.
Tom Griffiths is not giving up. He's gone to the inside line, going around the final corner. It is going to be a run down to the line. PVG's in there. He's going to send it free wide. Is it going to be Griffiths? Is it going to be Hunt? It's going to be Griffiths with Dan Hunt in second and PVG in third. It was Morton over Darryl McLean in the end, taking the AM victory there as well. And it has put this man, Jamie Ayres, on pole for race number 2. Now, he wasn't even in the mix, but this is why he is down that low from being up this front end. He comes across there. Hunt tries to switch back. Ayres tries to cover him off. And unfortunately for Jamie Ayres, it results in that incident happening now as well. So it is going to put the likes of Jamie Ayres on pole position. We'll wait for Steve Hansford to come over the line, and then we'll be able to bring you up the results from race number 1. Here are the results for you right now. Tom Griffiths is your winner with Dan Hunt and PVG rounding off that pro podium. Then you've got Roger Morton took the win over Darryl McLean in the end. McLean got it all a little bit wrong on the exit coming out of Sloshgold, ran wide and unfortunately put it onto the gravel, but him and Morton had a great battle. Ollie Ricks managing to get 3rd place in that fight. Darrell Wright in 7th, Martin Sampson 8th, Jamie Ayres taking pole for race number 2, Colin Sampson in 10th, Charles Kellerman, Fiona Siddons, Steve Evans, Alan Toome, Mick Barry, Jamie Wilson, Ralph Cullinan and Andy Littler. Behind that you got Steve Hansford and Pete Newman, who did not take to the start, but I think overall that sums up that race, Tom. 3 wide going over the line, taken by Tom Griffiths by not a lot at all.
Yeah, and it's a repeat of what we saw at Sebring a few weeks ago, a drag race to the line there. That was textbook stuff, really, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if we did get a repeat of that later on, but it's a bit of disappointment for Jamie Ayres, who had a really strong race up until the collision. But the consolation for him is that he's on reverse grid pole for race 2.
Yeah, that's, I think, if there's ever a silver lining, that kind of would be it, you know what I mean, for Jamie Ayres. He was right up there, and it was just here that this incident happened, you know. He opened it up, he went wide, he blocked off Hunt tried to come underneath, Ayres tried to cover him, bang, contact, around he went. So you know, it's questionable as how we can look at it, but let's see as the end of the day, you know, that's not really our job to comment too much. However, as if anybody knows me, you know I generally do get myself in trouble. But I think that is a tough one. That is really a tough one to decipher between Hunt and Ayres. Going into race 2, though, Ayres has got the opportunity. He's clearly got the pace, Tom. But can he keep it up for 9 laps? That seems to be where we should be hitting for each race here. So let's see if he can do it.
Yeah, let's see if he can do it from there. Pull away at the start. He's got a few AM drivers behind him as well, which he can use as a buffer. So he just needs to pull away from the rest of them and not giving them too much of a draft in the opening stages. And you know, if he's a far out in front, you know, a good 3 or 4 second lead, then he's got a chance of winning race 2. And there'll be some recompense for what happened in race number 1. We are in the middle of a warm-up session, which, by judgment of the council, the timing tower on the left-hand side, we've got a couple of minutes to kill. So, Redbull Ring race number 2. I mean, what are you looking out for, James? Who do you think is going to make the most of the grid positions here, other than Jamie Ayres?
Well, if you have a look at the results, right, you've got Jamie Ayres, Martin Sampson. Now, Sampson didn't have a great race 1, so let's see how he gets on. You've then got Darrell Wright, Ollie Mix, Darren McLean and Roger Morton, all very similar on pace. Behind that, you're going to have PVG, Hunter, Griffiths. Now, Ayres is in... He is almost like winning the lottery right now, because if he gets away and Martin Sampson holds the 4 arms up behind them that we know are going to battle, that's going to leave Ayres free run. But if he makes a mistake, I can guarantee Martin Sampson is going to take the opportunity. Whether or not Morton, who has shown some pace, can come through past the arms he's got in front of him as well, that's going to be questionable, because Darren McLean, Ollie Ricks and Darrell Wright, they know how to defend. They can drive really well. So I'm interested to see how far Morton can get, because he was mixing it up. So if I had to pick a winner, I would go with Jamie Ayres just purely because of where he is on the grid. But I also like the fact that Roger Morton has got that pace on him. And I like that if Morton could get through them arms quite quickly, I think he might have a shot at the win here in race 2.
I'm inclined to agree with you on that. I don't know if we have got Pete Newman in play now for race number 2. It'd be great if he was in, but it wouldn't surprise me if he wasn't. But he was fast last week.
I could probably safely say no on that one. I will try and see if I can get a reason as to why, but let's see. And let's see what I can do here as well, and give him a shout and see what went on. We've got about 17 seconds left of the warm-up before we'll be able to bring up the grid for race 2.
So Jamie Ayres on reverse grid pole with Martin Sampson alongside, both of which in the pro category, both of which have a chance to come out with a race win. 50 points are up for guys for a race win in this particular series. 45 for second, 41 for third, is 38, 36, 34, 32, and so on. So given that the warm-up session is over now, James, have we got a grid for race number 2?
We have. When it comes up, there you go. Jamie Ayres will be on pole with Martin Sampson in second, and Darrell Wright, Ollie Ricks, Darren McLean and Roger Morton. Then you've got PVG, Dan Hunt, Tom Griffiths and Colin Sampson, and Charles Kellerman and Fiona Siddons. Steve Evans, Alan Toome, Mick Barry, Jamie Wilson, Ralph Cullen, Andy Littler, Steve Hansford, and of course Pete Newman, if we're not sure if he's going to make it. I have read that rather quickly due to the fact that these guys do get on the line at a rapid rate of knots, and I end up sometimes not even getting there before they're on there. But it does look like I have achieved my goal with Jamie Ayres on pole. We're just waiting for Tom Griffiths and of course Pete Newman if he does get on to the grid, but I got a funny feeling he is not going to here, Tom, so I'm waiting just to see if he had an issue anywhere.
Well, the show must go on either way. Tom Griffiths looking to make it 2 from 2 from 9th position. It's very doable given the layout of this Red Bull Ring circuit in Spielberg, Austria. and we wait for the 5 red lights to come on.
There you go. Jamie Ayres is going to be on pole. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4, there's 5. Ladies and gentlemen, we are green, green, green. I am wondering if I have just witnessed Martin Sampson jump the line. He's either done that, or he's just got an absolute barnstorming start. Tucked in behind Jamie Ayres, going up into Nicky Lauda now. Turn number 1. Martin Sampson looked like he got off the line quite early there and may have ended up having to lift. But it is Jamie Ayres with that whole shot out in front at this moment in time. Then you've got Wright, Ricks, McLean and Morton. As we said, if Morton can clear him quickly, there's nothing saying he can't get up the front. But let's see what goes on as Jamie Ayres takes the whole shot, and we're coming running up now into the right-hander of Remus here, Tom. Jamie Ayres done what he had to do. Got away off the line early, and that was it. Job done for him.
Yeah, the next phase is to pull away and pull out ideally a 1.5 second to 2 second margin by the end of lap 1, which is not easy to do given the straights that we've got round the Red Bull ring. And we're seeing Tom Griffiths move in front of Dan Hunt. That's an important move for his race so far, although Hunt has something to say on that by going around the outside of him.
Yeah, Hunt just says thank you very much. I'm going to have that outside line through Schlossgold. He went there as well. Darrell Wright is in the mix, but he's got Mr. Ricks tucked up right behind him. Ollie there, not letting go in that safeguard by Result over his Result Clothing iRacing team. And then in front is the optical green of Martin Sampson. Sampson's dropping back from Ayres. If Ayres can keep it clean, he's done what we said he needed to do. He's just got to get away off that line, get the job done. So let's see who can stay there as well. Can Sampson stay within the draft of Ayres? Round turn 9 they go, down the hill into turn 10, looking for the dip on the inside curb. You got it there. Ricks absolutely nailed it. Now it's all about what he's going to do over Darrell Wright. Is he going to be able to make this going up into turn 1? Over the line we go. It doesn't look like, though, Tom, that Ricks is really putting his car in that aggressive position to make that overtake.
He's just holding back a little bit at this early stage. Second in class at the moment is Ricks. Didn't show a great sign of pace in race number 1 like we've seen from him in previous weeks, but he is in line to try and go for a move on Darrell Wright. He'll watch out for McLean, Morton, and possibly Sanson as well, who's won a couple of races last week in the AM class. He is aiming to make a move forward as we watch Darren McLean, who's behind Ricks, third in the AM class. And I imagine this is going to be quite a ding-dong battle all the way through.
Oh.
You're seeing Barry, there's Barry and Kellerman, I think, have come together.
Yeah. See them coming up into the hill, into Remus, the right-hander. Barry's on the inside. Kellerman's trying to go around the outside. Barry hits the curb, goes across Kellerman, unfortunately, and that is the result of that one. One of the things I want to pick up on is we said that this man had a great chance of taking the win, and unfortunately for Mr. Morton, he has gone backwards faster than he's gone forwards. He is down 5 places on where he started, but Jamie Ayres out in front. Martin Sampson, Darrell Wright, and Ollie Ricks, who have managed to hold on to their positions in the AMs here, Tom. And unfortunately for Morton, we picked him up. We said he had an opportunity for the win, and he's gone backwards.
Yeah, not good for Roger Morton. It was not what he needed after a brilliant race 1. And he's often sold with quite a bit to do, with not a lot of time in this race. As Ralph Collin gets through on Jamie Wilson now into 6th position. Fiona Siddons moving in front of Colin Sanson for 5th place in AM. Great overtake there by Siddons to get herself up the order. Drivers completing lap number 2. And we are seeing drivers go for it. There's something going really wide there. I wonder if that's just trying to get out the draft before turn number 1. I can imagine we are going to see a few drivers making moves. You can just see who's that's just going over I think that's Darrell Wright, isn't it? That's just gone over the yellow sausage curb on the exit turn number 1, which is a bit of a driver's enemy. It's almost like Tony Hawk riding over his skateboard on there every time you see any kind of car grinding along it. And we are seeing Ollie Ricks going for it on right into turn number 3. Not quite so here. And who's that coming up behind? I think that's got to be Pete McDowell, isn't it? It's PVG who's coming through past Ollie Ricks. Ollie Ricks won't want to fight it out with him because these two are not in the same class as each other.
No, but I can tell you one thing. Ricks can see right. That's the issue. when you can see a driver, for whatever reason, it makes you drive faster. I can't answer why, because then you sit back and think, well, where was that pace all the way through the race? And Ollie Ricks can see Darrell Wright battling it out for the lead in the AMs. They need to make sure they can keep it on the circuit here as well. They don't want to see what's been going on. Oh, that was nearly it then. That car across the front nearly ended up making a mistake. Ricks pulls out a bit. Now he goes over the gravel coming out of 8. PVG gets a big slide on. That's going to bring Dan Hunt into the mix here as well, Tom. And a lot of action taking place and a lot of drivers just making them small little errors.
Yeah, Ricks and Gull running way far out wide at turn number 7, went through the gravel trap. The pair of them did very well to keep the cars pointing the right way, never mind staying in front of Dan Hunt. But now we are beginning to see... what's that going on in front? That looks like PVG's in trouble.
I think PVG had just a bit of a brown moment with a slowdown there, and he had to stop and try and get that slowdown done. And unfortunately, that would have scared the living doodies out of Ollie Ricks there, because I can tell you one thing, he would not have seen that car slowing down at that rapid rate of knots. And I think PVG had a slowdown and he was close to not getting it off, because that's the only reason you would brake so hard. Darrell Wright. See, I think for me, going up into Remus there, unless you're on the racing line, what are you doing? Do you know what I mean? I think if it's not going to make an overtake, take the racing line. And that inside line is not the racing line like that because of that nasty bump going up into Remus.
Yeah, I don't know why Darrell even attempted to try and get through on Samson, which was never going to work at the Remus curve, and now he's falling back into the clutches of Dan Hunt, and that's going to maybe give Ollie Ricks a little bit of encouragement further behind. Siddons and Sanson continuing to swap positions behind here and there. Pete Vengel getting in front of McLean's. He's coming back through the field a little bit. There is the Dutchman, and now they're heading side once more. You can just see McLean not giving it up, but he will do at some point, and Gold gets through on him rather sweetly.
Yeah, it does there. PVG trying to make it as well up the inside of Darrell McLean. Ollie Ricks still got Dan Hunt in front of him. He can now see Darrell Wright. Hunt has cleared also a Darrell Wright, so Hunt does make his way forward through the final corner. These guys go. You've got PVG further back. He's got Darrell McLean company. You've got Steve Hefford. Oh, taking a very wide line coming out the final corner. He's got Roger Morton, who we did predict may have been able to get a race win here. Didn't quite get the start he wanted to. Ended up down 5 places. Then you've got Ralph Cullinan and also Wilson behind that. Morton does make the move up the inside of Hefford. Job done for him. What is the Irishman going to do this evening? Poor race 1, as you saw with the incident that we watched earlier on. He ended up, where is he? He's up 7 places. He started down in 17th, did Ralph, but he's just got to make his way forward as best as he can, utilising that draft as much as possible.
Tom Griffiths is down in P12. I don't know where his pace has gone in this one compared to what we saw from him in the first race. And we just see Darrell Wright have a problem there. And it looks like he's gone way wide at turn number 3, James.
Yeah, Darrell Wright there, unfortunately. From the lead of the AMs, was there contact with Ollie Ricks, or did he just get it all wrong? Oh no, there was a weird brake moment there for Darrell Wright. And you could see it.
I don't know whether he had wheel spin. I wonder if he had wheel spin and then Ricks just couldn't react in time.
There, yeah.
Yeah, the brake lights were on, so he might have had some wheel spin and then used the brakes to counter it, and Ollie Ricks was never going to have enough time to react to it. So that's a racing incident.
Yeah, I agree on that one. Martin Sampson now sitting in second. He has got Dan Hunt for company. Hunt goes up the inside. Through turn 9 they go. He's going to have the run through the inside of turn 10. However, Sampson should be able to have the racing line. He does to a degree. And now he sets after Jamie Ayres as well. So Jamie Ayres has managed to maintain the lead, but we think he's only got about 3 more laps to hold on to it for.
Yeah, Jamie Ayres 7 tenths clear, which is quite a healthy lead at this stage. Sampson in second place. Dan Hunt eager to get onto the top step this time. Ollie Ricks in the position to take what will be at least his 7th victory of the summer season in AMNA. He's having a wonderful campaign for him. I'm actually surprised he's not in the pro class, considering it. But he's having a very, very good race again.
I'm sure Ollie Ricks won't appreciate you saying that, mate, because they don't want to move him up mid-season. Right, Mr. Ricks, you're on round 4. Get your butt up into pros. So, but we'll see. He has had a great season, and I think the thing is as well with Ollie, he's just been consistent over and throughout. You know, we've seen him take a win, and he's taken another one, and then he's taken another one, and he's just been consistent. He's not really done anything dramatic. Ooh, apart from maybe touch the back end of Martin Sampson there. Ricks does make his way over to the side of the circuit. PVG goes through. Darren McLean's in there as well. Sampson drops all the way back down into 6th place, and I'm wondering if he has got some form of damage on that car. It looks like he has. He's got steering damage on that car as well, Tom, and that little brief contact from Martin Sampson, and that was the result.
Yeah, that's such a shame there for Sampson, and it'd be good if we can get a replay of it, which we are going to have a look now. It looks very, very...
Well, nothing.
It was only a slight tap. It was a slight tap, but I wouldn't have expected Sampson to be slowing as much as he was there, and it looks like... Is he able to continue? He's crawling towards turn number 7.
No, judging by that one. Judging by the fact he's on the grass, I would say that was it, job done for him. But it's weird, that slight little contact, and then... poof, his car breaks.
Yeah, I don't know if he had hit the ignition switch or anything like that. I wouldn't have thought he would have done in that situation, but either way, his race is run, and that's essentially going to be no points for him. I've just seen Andy Lickle come back out of the pit lane, 4 laps down on everyone, more or less, and he'll want to try and get a finish at least anyway.
Yeah, Morton's got Griffiths making that move. Further ahead, we've got Cullinan and Hefford side by side as well on that run up into Remus there. Hefford does go through. Cullinan tucks in. Does he tuck in? Nope. He gets a little bit more of a decent run. Hefford's coming over to cover him off. There's a little bit of argy-bargy going on behind there as well. Where have we seen that already this weekend? Between the car on the right and the car on the left. If you ever didn't watch this weekend's race, well, go back and watch it. Hefford there as well, holds on to that position. Here comes Tom Griffiths in behind the mix as well. He's trying to get hold of Cullinan. Cullinan's trying to get hold of Hefford, and I can tell you one man that is trying to recover and hang on to that podium is this man, Mr. Morton, who has got Darrell Wright tucked up in behind him. Looks like Mick Barry has had to jump back to the pit, so is Martin Sampson after we saw his earlier situation, but Jamie Ayres leading the way, but he's now got the DOF reality of Dan Hunt for company.
Jamie Ayres is under threat now from Dan Hunt. This is the most threatening that Jamie Ayres has had to face all race so far, and he's got Dan Hunt right behind, as looking to defend the position. Will he defend it more cleanly this time? We're looking further back. Ollie Ricks is on the tail of Van Gool for 3rd place. Ricks's AM victory isn't secure by any means just yet, and Mick Barry's is out of the race.
Yeah, Mick would have jumped out and got himself into the next session. Don't forget, guys, we will have a break going into race number 3. It is a complete reverse grid as well. Don't forget to say hi here as well. We will say hi back. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on the bells. That'll be absolutely amazing. On the run up into Remus we go. As your leader, Hunt tucking in behind. He's looking for that run. Out is Dan Hunt. Jamie has hits that yellow sausage curve, which is rather annoying, even if I do say so myself. Having driven this track, Cullinan and Griffiths are side by side. They swap positions about 4 times already on this lap, so Griffiths going for it again. Morton's also tucked in there once more. Morton trying to have a go over Griffiths, but it is going to be Jamie Ayres who's going to be coming around taking that white flag, Tom, as we got one more lap to go.
So we've got the reason from Martin Sampson over the reason why he's dropped out, and his pedals have disconnected.
Oh, technical then, Mr. Sampson. Technical. So let's see what happens. Ayres is going to come round out of 7 through the right-hander of 8. They can take quite a lot of curve there. Now coming into turn 9, you can see the battle from Hefford, Cullinan, Griffiths, Morton and Wright. That's going to be the one to keep an eye on here, but we'll see Jamie Ayres take this white flag of race 2. Jamie Ayres in that 46 Momo MX5 machine. Barney's going to be waving on the right-hand side. We're going to be a 9-lapper now. Ayres goes over the line. Final lap, but it could still be anybody's game here from Ollie Ricks in fourth.
Well, it's very much game on between the top three, just like we saw in the first race, except that Tom Griffiths is not involved in this time. So we are going to get a different race winner to what we had in race number 1. But who's it going to be? And Ollie Ricks just needs to play this one carefully, because the last thing he wants is getting involved in a last corner incident, which is what happened to him in race number 3 in Alton Park last week. That cost him the AM race win.
Yeah, Ollie Ricks there. Tucked up in the AMS in the lead. He wants to hold on to it now. Final lap, final run from Remus down into Schlossgold. The right-hander at the base of the hill. They've got to make sure that they get this corner right. Jamie Ayres has got an opportunity to take the win here after his poor race 1, where he had that incident just about there with Dan Hunt on this racetrack, which resulted in Ayres going into that barrier. So let's keep an eye on this one. Can Ayres hold on? It does look like Rick should hold on to the AM win, and McLean should be holding on to second place, but Jamie Ayres round the left-hander of 7. He's going to now go for the right-hander of 8 for the final time. Again, you can take a lot of curb on the exit of 8, which seems weird considering you can't take a lot of anywhere else. Dan Hunt trying that slingshot maneuver as he goes into the inside, gets the speed up, then shoots the car to the left. But it is going to be Jamie Ayres. It's going to be a run down to the line. Ayres is going to take this victory. Hunt's going to be in second place. Is it going to be PVG? PVG is going to get the run, but I don't think he's going to have enough to do it. Nope, it was Jamie Ayres across the line. And now we go to the Steve Efford battle here, Tom, as they go over the line as well.
Yeah, should be able to hold them off here, although Cullingham's got a good run on Hefford as they cross over the line, but Hefford will take that one on this occasion. He finishes 4th in class ahead of Cullingham, and Griffiths only 6th in the pro category. A little bit of a friendly nudge there between Hefford and Cullingham. Nothing personal by any means, although that's nothing in comparison to what we've just seen further behind. Was that Darrell Wright that just ran into him? It was.
Darrell Wright giving him a little love tap, shall we say. Just a little hello. Steve Hansford and Fiona Siddons come over the line. We will be picking up Andy Littler very, very shortly. He will be the final one over the line. Well, actually it's not, it's Fiona Siddons who comes over the line there as well. So great race from all of these guys as per normal. We'll bring you up the results for that feature. Then we will go on to the BRB screen for race number 3. Jamie Ayres out is your winner, with Dan Hunt in second and PVG in third. That's your 1, 2, 3 in the pros. Ollie Ricks takes the win in the AMs with Darren McLean in second place, separated from Steve Hefford, Ralph Cullen and Tom Griffiths, with Roger Morton rounded out the podium, the man we picked for the win. Darrell Wright in 10th, then Wilson in 11th, and Sampson, Kellerman, Hansford, Siddons, Barry, Toon and Sampson further down, and then beyond that Andy Littler and Pete Newman. Right guys, we're going to jump onto a BRB. We'll be right back after this short break. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are back for race number 3. I can give you the details. It is a complete random grid for race number 3 and a top 11 for race number 4. So let's see what happens here on this racetrack. I think, Tom, we've seen a great couple of races here as well, and I don't expect race 3 or 4 to be any different.
No, we've seen a phenomenal amount of action here in Austria, with so many drivers absolutely throwing everything at it, going tooth for nail. Some of it is, bit between your teeth stuff. But as ever with the Redbull Ring, you have to expect a lot of action either way. We've got drivers who are in the middle of a practice session, perhaps keen to get some more mileage under their belts. One man in particular who will be very thankful of having that opportunity is Mr. Pete Newman, who didn't take the start for races 1 or 2.
Yeah, he is back for race 3 and 4 there. He was out for a birthday meal and unfortunately did not make it back in time. He thought he might have been back for race number 2, but hasn't, and is here for race number 3. So we get to see the man on the 118 Pure Sims liveried machine back on the racetrack for race number 3. We will be forward in the session very, very shortly. Puck, hi, how are you? Welcome in. Thank you so much for joining us. Sorry I missed your message earlier on, but there was a lot of action taking place on this racetrack here as well. So thanks so much, Puck, for joining me. That is PVG's brother, if I'm not mistaken, and it is Thijs van Gool, who happens to be, believe, Puck's son, which is PVG's nephew, so that would make PVG an uncle to Thijs. So there you go. That's the PVG Van Gool history family tree taking place here on JPB once more. Random grid for race number 3. Now, I think that gives this one a different dimension. None of these drivers are really sure where they're going to be for race number 3, and currently we don't have a Scooby-Doo here, Tom, but it brings something different because it could put the likes of Sir Alan Toon, for instance, maybe might be on pole position.
Yeah. Someone who you wouldn't think would be at the head of the field. So I think we did see Sir Alan Toon in front of a randomised grid for one of the races in the past, not last week, but in Watkins or Sebring, one of the two. But that isn't a true reflection of how the race is going to go anyway. We are expecting drivers to be at the front end, as they are destined to be, make their way through the field at the start. In case you're wondering, you have just joined the broadcast. It's a 15-minute race. We expect it to be 9 laps in total, but given how these Mazda MX5s handle, you're going to see a lot of slipstream. You're going to see a lot of overtaking.
Yeah, absolutely. It has played a massive part this evening in this one, so we'll keep an eye on that racing all the way through, as we've seen some great racing from race number 1 and 2. Just waiting for these guys to advance the session to go into race 3, ready to get us up and running. Maybe they're giving Pete Newman a little bit of extra time to get some practice in after missing race 1 and race 2. Thanks so much for joining us as always. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on the bells, because we've got a lot more racing coming up. One later on would be the BSC NASCAR coming up live from Chicago Street Circuit. And if anybody's watched any of the NASCAR on JPB, as you know, I'm not a fan of NASCARs on street circuits, but it is Chicago, so let's see what goes on there a little bit later on. The grid is going to be up and running and ready to go. We'll just wait for this to cross over into the race setup. We will bring you up the grid. We will read it quite quick because these guys do get alike to get on the line on the grid very, very shortly. Andy Littler will be on pole. Colin Sampson, Fiona Siddons, Ollie Ricks and Mick Barry, so an all-am top 5. Jamie Wilson, Pete Newman, Steve Hefford, Roger Morton, Dan Hunt, Darrell Wright and Sir Alan Toon down in 12th. Behind that, you've got Martin Sampson, Jamie Steve Hansford, PVG, Darren McLean, Tom Griffiths, Charles Kellerman and Ralph Cullinan, the Irishman, at the back end of the field. There is Andy Littler. He will lead us away for this one. It should be a very, very interesting one for Andy. Can he get it off the line? That's going to be the question for him. He needs to, if he can, because he's going to want to get and try to stay ahead of Colin Sampson, Fiona Siddons, Ollie Ricks and Mick Barry. We are just waiting for Mr. Ricks to get onto the racetrack and get this up and running for race number 3. But let's see what happens. We've got one more to go after these 15 minutes, and that will be the final race of the evening at the Redbull Ring. Very, very interesting indeed. It's provided some great racing, and I'm sure it's going to provide even more. 5 lights, and we are up and running. Andy Littler got off the line there, so did Colin Sanson and Fiona Siddons, and Mick Barry didn't really get a great start. He's got Pete Newman and Jamie Wilson hustling in there as well. You can see Colin Sanson trying to come around the outside of Fiona Siddons, got the job done, but it's Andy Littler takes the whole shot through to Nicky Lauder. Coming up into Remus now. There's been some action further back. You can see the cars spread out here, Tom, but Andy Littler leads away. Colin Sanson is second, but for how long?
Yeah, it's Sanson plowing his way through the field there and getting alongside Andy Littler, and this is going to be a foregone conclusion with Colin Sanson going into the lead for Am at least. Anyway, Pete Newman coming through the field. He started, I think he was 8th on the grid or something like that, was Newman, and he's just made his way over to 3rd position there. And the biggest disaster of all is with Ollie Ricks, who's not taken the start.
No, Mr. Ricks has not made it onto the grid for race number 3. Colin Sampson's breaking away. Pete Newman's nestling in there. You can see the action further back. Mick Barry's got him far too hot. Far too hot for Mick Barry, and unfortunately that has sent him and Fiona Siddons round, caused a little bit of chaos in the process, and Mick Barry got it all a little bit wrong. Roger Morton with Andy Littler pressurising him as well. Andy's down 2 places, nestling in 3rd. There he is. Morton's got Wilson, Hunt and Hefford behind. Hunt's on the inside, Hefford's on the inside of Hunt. He gets that job done, going through Worth turn 7, through the right-hander of 8. Steve Hefford is going to open up the inside. Hunt's going to come back at him. Hunt got the job done as well. Bad line from Steve Hefford there coming out of 7. Hunt does end up taking the position away once more, and in the meantime he goes up the inside of Jamie Wilson like he's just stood still there, Tom.
Yeah, Hunt was always going to make mincemeat of Jamie Wilson up the inside into turn number 9, and that's enough to move him up into 2nd place in Pro. But Wilson and Hefford are not giving it up by any means, and we've only just done the first lap of this race. Sanson leads in Am, Newman leads in Pro, and they've got Littler and Morton in 3rd and 4th, but for how long? But we've seen Hunt, Wilson and Hefford tussling over 5th place, with Jamie Ayres not too far behind. Ayres won in race 2, Tom Griffiths won in race number 1, as Pete Newman takes over the race lead from Colin Sanson on the run-up to Remus.
Yeah, you can see Jamie Ayres there as well, pushing PVG past Dan Hunt. Steve Hefford, sorry. Hefford's on the outside. Hefford's with the yellow roll bar. Wilson's not giving it up either. He's having a good old go with Jamie Ayres, but Ayres gets a run coming out of Remus. Job done for him. What about Colin Sanson? Well, he's lost the lead to Pete Newman. Newman, the man who's come back for race 3 and 4, takes the lead of the race, dropping down into the ditch into Schlossgo. Wilson gets a nice little exit out of that one. There's a little bit of action swap behind as well. Jamie Ayres has gone down the order. Jamie Ayres has gone round the 46 Momo car. Let's see what happened. Was there contact, or was it all on his own? Down into Schlossgo he goes. Was there contact with Wilson? No. There's a very, very fast Darrell Wright coming in like an absolute banshee there, Tom, and I can safely say that was all on Darrell Wright making that mistake.
I can imagine there's going to be a few knuckle sandwiches after that, because Darrell Wright's manoeuvre there was way over the top there, came from way too far back, way too late on the brakes, and he just used Ayres as a brake to slow him down, and Ayres will not be too pleased with Wright's driving, but he is still in the race, is Ayres. He's got back through on Wright, so I think the fact that Wright's just let Ayres through now is a little bit of a consolation for Ayres, but Ayres is down the pack in 16th position. There's another spinner and a whack as well.
Darren McLean. Oh, that was Ralph Cullinan behind him. McLean goes the inside. He's slight little nudge, I think, with PVG. And here comes Charles Kellerman. Boom, nowhere to go. and unfortunately all game over. There's a lot more contact here. Andy Littler has lost a place to Dan Hunt as well. Hunt taking that move. He's now setting after Roger Morton in second place, with Colin Sanson taking the lead in front of him. PVG, Jamie Wilson side by side through Sloshko they go once again. Wilson's on the outside, Team Chimera. Momo on the inside, he tucks in behind him there, did Pete Newman, but you can see action all the way through as per normal. Steve Hefford side by side with Andy Littler. He should get the job done going down into Sloshko. Totally different classes, of course, and it is all done for Steve Hefford. Great action all the way through, and Martin Sampson running side by side with the recovering Jamie Ayres.
Yeah, Ayres will want to make up for the spin he had with the collision with Darrell Wright. At this corner, gets through safe and sound on Martin Sampson, who's had another race if he gets so far. And yeah, Ayres shouldn't take too long getting through past Sir Alan Toon here. I think Toon may let Ayres go at the next corner. But yeah, Ayres has left himself with too much to do at this stage. Down the pack, he's behind Tom Griffiths in class as well. Dunham getting through on Roger Morton for third place, coming towards the end of lap number 3. Pete Newman leading the way by half a second over Colin Sanson, who is the leader of the AM class. We are watching Jamie Ayres in picture, going for it on Sir Alan Toon into the penultimate turn of the circuit. This is the Jochen Ring curve that they're going through before the Redbull Mobile corner, as it's officially known as.
Yeah, final corner on the circuit. Job done for Jamie Ayres. He's gained up through positions. What about Pete VG? Well, he's having a battle with Jamie Wilson, not making it through. Steve Hefford alongside Andy Littler once again. It looks like Littler's got the run out of turn 1 over Steve Hefford. Littler in the left in that 99.9 machine. 999 for the work guide by result. Goes on the defense on the inside. Does Littler, is he going to be able to hold it, or is Hefford's going to sweep around the outside? Hefford's going to get that job done just about. There he goes. Job done for Andy Littler. So great action all the way through. Now it's Wilson's turn on Littler as well. You can see Littler's going to be on the left hand side of us now. There he is, with Jamie Wilson from the rotating roll bar we've got, and Wilson does make the job there as well. Littler does not give it up, but Jamie Wilson makes it through. Pete Newman still leading the way, but he has got Colin Sanson that close to him at the moment here, Tom.
Yeah, and Sanson will just be happy to sit in behind Newman for now. Newman in the lead. I don't know if he expected himself to be in the lead at this stage of the race. We've seen Gull and Wilson swapping places as well. What's going on between those two?
Yeah, PPG. Oh! Well, that's a reason they've swapped places. How did they end up there? PVG going up the inside. Don't know if Wilson knew he was there. Doesn't really make the apex, and unfortunately contact with Van Gaal and Wilson sends them both off the side of the circuit. Both men now, PVG down into 14th, Wilson down into 16th, but Ralph Cullinan has got Tom Griffiths for company.
Yeah, Griffiths will want to get through on Cullinan rather swiftly to get back towards where he was in race number 1. Is he going to go for it into turn 1? Is he saving the manoeuvre for Remus? We'll find out in a short while. Newman's gap to Sanson is still half a second. Dunham behind in third place, and it's Morton, Hefford. Little has done well to maintain the position he is at. And we've got 3 pro drivers of Cullinan, Griffiths and Ayres, who's now up into 9th spot.
Yeah, Ayres making his way through, coming back through the field as Cullinan holds on into Slush Gold over Griffiths. You can see the battles up front. Ayres there with Sampson behind, but it is all about what Griffiths is going to do. We do have Steve Hansford in the mix with Martin Sampson and Darrell Wright. These are the AMs fighting it out further down the order as well. This is a battle down for 5th, 6th and 7th of the setting after Alan Toon there with Martin Sampson, who is the pro of these 3. Darrell Wright's going to have the inside line after his same corner. He's, oh dearie me, poor old Darrell Wright, exactly the same corner there, Tom, and the same outcome.
I don't know if he's practiced his braking points enough in the practice sessions there as Darrell Wright, but he's not having a good race so far either way, and he's lost himself more time thanks to that. After a spirited start to this evening, and it's all beginning to go a little bit pear-shaped for him at the moment. Andy Littler ahead of Ralph Cullinan and Tom Griffiths as they come towards the end of lap number 5. We've just seen Jamie Wilson move in front of Fiona Siddons. Van Gool lost 2 positions to them on this lap. I don't know if he's sort of ran wide somewhere and lost more time, but Van Gool's race is, I think you can say, is a bit of a write-off, but he still needs to finish this one.
Yeah, he does. We'll pick up on Pete very, very shortly. Let's see what goes on up into turn 1. Littler on the left, Cullinan on the right. Griffiths nestled in behind. It is going to be Cullinan. Takes Andy Littler, gets the job done. Does the Irishman. Griffiths is also going to be now settling in behind Ralph Cullinan. Is going to push him forward as much as he can, coming up into Remus turn number 2. The right-hander. You can see Griffiths bump, drafting Cullinan past Littler. He's also got himself past Littler as well. Not that Andy made it an impossible task. Andy goes up the inside, but unfortunately that is a slow run out. Colin Sampson down Hunt. Hunt's going to clear Sampson now, I believe. Hunt is on the right-hand side there. Is Sampson there? Down into Slosh Gold we go. Job done, I believe, for Dan Hunt as Colin Sampson nestles in right behind him here as well. Hunt up into second, chasing down after Pete Newman.
Yeah, he's got a good chance to win this one, has Dan Hunt now. He's got 8 tenths to make up on Newman. So you've got 3 laps to do it. So it is doable, providing they cross over the line before they begin the 9th lap with the checkered falling, because the time does reach 0. When the clock reaches 0, as I mentioned before, the leader is on the last lap. Pete Van Gool's coming back through the field a little bit, actually, because he's gone through Wright and Siddons, but he's still at the bottom of all of those in pro.
Yeah, you can see there as well on the left-hand side, a lot of people out of position. Jamie Ayres just run a little bit wide, gets himself another off-track. At this moment in time, Dan Hunt holding on, Sampson nestling in behind. Griffiths and Cullinan still keeping it the same. Andy Littler there as well. Martin Sampson down with Steve Hadford. PVG trying to get a hold of Jamie Wilson once more. Fiona Siddons in there chasing down Darrell Wright. There's a lot of action taking place as we go into the last 3 minutes. And not short here is going to be Tom Griffiths and Ralph Cullinan as these guys battling it out for 6th and 7th on the racetrack though, Tom. And a great run at the moment here for Steve Hansford. He's going to, oh, no, it's not. It's going to be Alan Toon if they stay where they are on pole position for race number 4.
Cullinan just lets Griffiths go through before they get to the king. He feels that it's not worth fighting Griffiths at this point. Cullinan will just want to get a race finish under his belt here. And Griffiths is allowed to go through into 4th place in class. And Hafford in 5th is trying to make his way through past Morton and Sanson, but he's having to make more work out of it than desired.
Yeah, you can see, oh, Tooney's got back past Steve Hansford further, well, oh, gee whiz, Batman. There is a lot going on down here. Tooney's in the middle of a 3 wide with Wilsford and Hansford in there. PVG's in the mix. We go on board the JPB chopper. You see these cars. Sampson at the back end were right. PVG, Tooney in the middle. Steve Hansford in the left. The green roll bar. Wilson's making his way at the front of the head of the pack. He's leading this pack of cars. And unfortunately, Alan Tooney's lost position, goes down to 14th at the moment. PVG will be the man on pole for race number 4 if he stays where he is. Question is, what's going on up front here, Tom? You can see Newman and Hunt have come together.
Yeah, they've come together but have not made contact with each other just yet. 2 minutes to go when they get over the line. So there is 2 laps to go with Newman in the lead and Hunt in 2nd place. Heading towards turn number 1. Colin Sanson looking good for another victory in 3rd place, unless Roger Morton can fight his way back through by getting through on Steve Hafford, or if Steve Hafford can pick up the pace and get through on him. But it looks like Roger Morton's going to get through on Hafford on this occasion. Yeah,
he got a great run out of turn 1, did Morton. He's going to have that inside line coming up into Slosh Gold now. Morton in that Pure Sims 92 machine. Hafford on the left in the 72 yellowed roll barred Momo machine coming towards us. As you can see now, is Morton going to be able to hold on? Nope, Hafford takes that position away. Dan Hunt and Stern, Pete Newman are running side by side at this moment in time. Here you can see there is Pete Newman. We're going to be over the final lap this time around for lap number 9. We are coming down into Slosh Gold turn number 3. We're going to look for the dip on the outside. There we go. Job done for Dan Hunt. He's only going to have one more lap here, Tom. It's going to be very, very close between Hunt and Newman.
Yeah, it's going to be very close, and I think Sanson should have the victory pretty much in his pocket. I think it depends on also how the race 4 grid is going to line up, because Pete Van Gogh is ahead of Jamie Wilson now into 10th place. Jamie Has is in 9th, chasing down Andy Lickler. In fact, Wilson gets back through on Gull again, or at least he was, and they're fighting what is essentially going to be who's going to be ahead of each other on the front row.
Yeah, this is for pole position. Wilson, Team Chimera on the right. PVG and the Momo. Round Roush they go, but it is going to be Pete Newman's going to come over the line, take the white flag this time around. Pete Newman, Barney's waving on the right. He's only going to have one more lap. This is the situation for Tom Griffiths and Ralph Cullinan. Same situation for Jamie Wilson and PVG. Also Fiona Siddons and Sir Alan Toon. They're going to be battling away for the final lap. Wilson is in 10th at the moment, PVG in 11th. There is a battle for the final pole position place, and at the moment PVG has got that. What's going on at the front? These guys running up into Remus for the final time in race number 3. Dan Hunt's on the inside in the red and white, Newman in the blue, white and yellow. Pure Sims Machine, they're going to be side by side on the exit. Newman goes over the horrible sausage curb that's on the left hand side there. Great action from these two, but also we've got Ralph Cullinan and Tom Griffiths. They're running side by side at the moment as well. They're having a nice little battle on their own, but it is Pete Newman and Dan Hunt in the lead at the moment.
Yep, how long is this battle going to go on for? Because Hunt is still determined to find his way through. Pete Newman will want to make up for missing the first 2 races of this evening. Hunt getting a good tow out of Schlossgold, and is he going to make his way through turn number 6 in the lead here around the outside, which is the optimal line to take into the corner. Newman pushing him out wide, but not too far out wide. Hunt is still there within the car's width, or within a car's length I should say, and is he through around the outside? I think he may have the high ground. He's done it.
Yeah, Hunt's done it now. We're going to come down for the final turn number 9 before we go round turn 10. I'm not going to count Newman out in any shape of the imagination. I've not even written the names down on the piece of paper until they come over the line. It's going to be very, very close. Newman's going to have to try and run it as quickly as he can. He's going to look for the run to the line. The line is there just ahead of us, but it is going to be Dan Hunt. It's going to take the victory in race number 3. What's happening with Tom Griffiths and Ralph Cullinan? They're side by side going around the final corner. Oh no! No! Griffiths is in the barrier. Oh!
Can he get over the line, Tom Griffiths? I don't think he can.
Nope, he is broke. PVG, JB Wilson battling over the final spot. PVG has got pole at the moment. There's Tom Griffiths still sat there. And it looks like Wilson's going to manage to hold on. What's going on with Sampson, Hansford and Toon? No! Oh, my dearie me, Sir Alan Toon. What gee mighty whiz was that? That was very, very nearly suboptimal.
Yeah, that was... I don't think he noticed that the car was in front of him. I don't know if they get told about yellow flags before they get to a particular part of the course where the hazard is at. But we're looking at a replay. Yeah, I think I've got to say Griffiths didn't leave Cullinan enough room, I'm afraid.
No, go on board the chopper. He's going to go behind the trees, dropping down into the final corner. You see Griffiths in the blue. He just drifts out.
Although my argument, though, James, is that Ralph Cullinan was off the track before they got into the corner, and he gained somewhat of an advantage entering the last turn. So it's 50-50 for me.
Ooh, well, let's see what happens here. Let us know what you think here as well. We're going into race number 4. Here's the results of race 3. Dan Hunt is your winner with Pete Newman in second. Colin Sanson in third for the AM win. And Steve Pefford rounds out the podium for the pros. Roger Morton snatching a second place there for the AMs. Ralph Cullinan and Andy Littler rounding off the podium. Then you got Jamie Ayres, Jamie Wilson, PVG, and Darryl Wright will be on pole for race number 4. Then you got Fiona Sid and Steve Hansford, Sir Alan Toon, Martin Sampson, Mick Barry, Tom Griffiths and Charles Kellerman, with Darren McLean and Ollie Ricks, who did not take to the start. Very interesting end to that race, and as you can see, we have got rain for race number 4.
And that most certainly is going to throw another spanner into the mix, isn't it? But we've seen it before. The drivers are used to racing in these conditions now. We saw it in Old Park last week, very much so Watkins Glen the week before. In fact, Watkins Glen was an absolute car breaker because the drivers just couldn't equip. They just couldn't equip or acclimatise to the conditions during the course of the race. Hence why we had a lot of drivers pulling out. And we also saw it in Sebring, if you remember, James, where it came down as a bit of a surprise and expected to be somewhat of an equaliser. Who is going to really benefit from it?
I can't answer that question. I really cannot answer that question, who's going to benefit the most. Ayres is out on track at the moment. You can see the situation in the cars. It is going to be a very, very wet race number 4. And as we said, it's going to be tough. They're going to have to reprogram all their braking points that they did have, Tom, and adjust them by 20 metres if possible.
I think one driver who could well use this session to understand his braking points in these conditions is most certainly going to be Darrell Wright, because he got it all wrong in race number 3 and compromised a couple of drivers' races as well as his own. So I think he could do with just settling down a little bit and actually just try and make up for what's been a really rocky evening for him after a brilliant race 1.
Yeah, you can see in the background there, that was Colin Sansom gone round in that year 1 livery machine. Unfortunately for Darrell Wright, not had the greatest of evenings of racing for race number 2 and race number 3. He was involved in some little tats, should we say, going down into the same corner, actually, funny enough, down into Schlossgold, turn 3, got it all a little bit wrong, and unfortunately has just got it a little bit wrong coming through the exit of 7 and into 8. So yeah, looks like some of these might struggle. This could be a very interesting race for Tom.
Yeah, and it's going to come down to who is the braver and who's going to master in these conditions in the Styria Mountains. It's quite popular to see rain hitting the mountains because it is a mountainous area. It's a microclimate. It is this particular destination around the world. And the drivers are going to need to make the most of the warm-up, but they've only got 5 minutes to do that, haven't they? So it becomes like a couple of laps. So really understand the conditions, but the grip's going to change all the time.
That's the problem, isn't it? You're going to be hunting the grip as much as you can, and if you can't find it, you could be in deep, deep trouble here as well. So, yeah, I don't think there's going to be a racing line situation. Evening, James and Tom. Good evening, Phil. Thanks so much for joining us here, bud. Coming in for the final race of the evening. What have you been up to miss the other 3? You've been busy, dear sir, have you, sir? From Phil there. 1 minute on the clock left of warm-up. And to be fair, Phil, if you've joined us at this right time, you've joined us for an amazing race number 4 in the rain. So, yeah, it could be a very, very exciting end to what has been, I think we can both say, Tom, a very, very exciting racing evening in general.
I've very much enjoyed it so far, James, and we've got one more race to look forward to. And I just want to sort of maybe browse through the calendar a little bit, because we've been to some brilliant venues so far this season. We've been to Sebring, we've been to Watkinson, we've been to Hilton Park. Tonight we're at Redbull Ring. Go to Phillip Island next week, and it's the Canadian Motorsport Park on the 16th, and it's Spa with the Classic Pits section included. On the 23rd, and on the 30th, it's Brands Hatch, and in August, to finish off the summer campaign, we've got Road Atlanta, Mugello in Italy, Oschersleben in Germany, and Daytona with the NASCAR Road Course in the US on the 27th of August.
Yep, very, very great circuits, and I think Phillip Island next week is going to be absolutely amazing. I cannot wait for that one, because I think it's going to be an absolute classic, because Phillip Island is a very much an interesting racing circuit. So we'll see what happens, but let's bring you up the grid for race number 4, the rain-soaked race 4 here as well. So let's see what goes on. Darrell Wright is your man on pole with PVG in 2nd, Jamie Wilson 3rd, Jamie Ayres 4th, Andy Littler 5th with Ralph Cullen and Roger Morton, Steve Hefford, Colin Sanson and Pete Newman rounding out the top 10. Then you've got Dan Hunt, Fiona Siddon, Steve Hansford, Sir Alan Toon, Martin Sampson, Mick Barry, Tom Griffiths, Charles Kellerman, Darren McLean and Ollie Ricks if he does take to the start. What's Darrell Wright got to do here this evening? Not had a great race 2 and 3. Has he got to settle down a little bit maybe?
Yeah, well, he's got to get his braking points right, especially in these conditions.
Not an easy one to achieve, is it, with so little warm-up time and so little notification that, by the way, guys, we're going to have rain.
Well, we are hopefully going to have Ollie Ricks. I don't know if he's had connection issues or whatever, but if he is not going to be taking the start, that's a huge shame. But it's good news for all those in the AM class as they can close down the gap to him in the championship.
Yeah. It doesn't look like he's going to. The lights are going to be coming on. Did Darrell Wright just move there? It looks like he may have done. We've got 5 lights. As Darrell Wright just punished himself before he's actually gone anywhere. There, 999. A Littler gets a big old jump, but Darrell Wright out in front, taking that whole shot down. Here comes Mr. Wilson. Wright moves over to the right. Funny enough, on your screen, Jamie, oh, you can see Tom Griffiths getting it all wrong, but Wilson's going to lead the way. Ayres and Van Gaal, there's chaos further back. There's a lot gone on further back. We'll pick up that very shortly, but it is Jamie Wilson leading the way with Ayres, PVG, Cullinan and Morton tucked in right behind him. There's a few people that struggled on that start, Tom.
Yeah, some of them didn't get away very, very well. And I think Wright played the safe game and just stay out to the left-hand side and let the pro drivers go through and then follow them through that way. Jamie Wilson taking an early lead ahead of Jamie Ayres, and it's Pete Van Gaal in third place out of Ralph Cullen and Steve Hefford. 5 pro drivers in the top 5.
Yeah, as we're making our way up, I should say, across to turn number 3, really. And at the moment, Wilson's got it out in front. Andy Littler, Hefford, Morton, Siddons, Kellerman, Toon, Griffiths and Sampson have all been involved in some little ta-ta-tas, because I can tell you down in 19th is the man that started up in 5th, and that is Andy Littler. There's been another one here. Charles Kellerman's been involved again. It looks like more action from Colin Sampson off the side of the circuit. There's been a big old ta-ta-ta going on, but what happened to Andy Littler right up to the start? We need to go back just a little bit more. Tom Griffiths got his own run all mixed up as well. He ends up on the curb and a lot went on there, and unfortunately for him, not great. Then you've got Mick Barry in the mix with Andy Littler. Mick then goes and spins it on his own. He causes a little bit of carnage. Steve Hefford and Roger Morton have a coming together after that on the run up the hill here. So there's been action all the way through, and everybody just getting it a little bit wrong. And not the greatest there, but let's pick up back to live pictures. Dan Hunt sitting in 4th place. Roger Morton leading the AMs, and then he gets a bump up the bum from Hunt, does Morton. And once more, it's getting all a little bit scrappy for the rain-soaked race 4.
Yeah, it's all kicking off still at the moment. There's someone coming into the pits. That's Darrell Wright. I don't know if he picked up a penalty for creeping forward before the lights went out. That could well explain it. But we've got Ayres and Cullinan now in 2nd place. He's come through the field nicely on that first light. We've hardly seen him reach that high throughout the last couple of weeks, it has to be said. But it's good to see him fighting towards the front.
Yeah, Ralph Cullen trying to make his way back through, doing a great job, but it is 3 wide here with the Pure Sims of Pete Newman. PVG on the right, Steve Hefford on the left, Ayres still out in front. You can see Morton getting a slide on further up as well. He's got Dan Hunt tucked in now in front of him. There's been a lot of action. Looked like Mick Barry, Charles Kellerman has had another moment. Mick Barry's now into the pits. Martin Sampson, Fiona Siddons as well. They look like they've been struggling, but it is this Pete Newman, Steve Hefford, and also on the left is PVG. Morton's in front. Oh, Newman's got that all a little bit wrong. Oh, does he manage to hold it? He does there, Tom, but he is lucky.
Yeah, he was very lucky. I thought it was going to go straight on, to be honest with you, given it's a downhill section. But he got the car slowed down in time and didn't end up going through the gravel. Lucky not to take out the car in front of him, which was Roger Morton.
Yeah, the question will be, how many laps are we going to be seeing here? I think it's going to be somewhat on the bordering on the line of 7.
I think it'll be 8, James.
Yeah, 2 minutes 14 on the clock. Obviously, when you divide, Morton again alongside Newman. Newman got it all a little bit wrong out of 8. PVG gets a big old slide on. And he doesn't quite manage it as well, but PVG does manage to hold on to Roger Morton is in front of him. Morton in the AMs, leading the way. Hefford's just hit the curb, and he's gone sideways. Dan Hunt's run a little bit wide. Hefford again, and this time for Steve Hefford, doesn't quite make it through successfully there on that one, but it is is the rain. That's what it is causing this issue.
Yeah, well, the rain's coming down harder and harder and harder. Numerous drivers running way out wide at turns 9 and 10. It's no wonder they're struggling in these conditions.
Yeah, it's just absolutely rain-soaked out there. Ayres is making the best of this situation. He's trying to escape up the front. He's got the Irishman of Ralph Cullinan. What could Cullinan see? Well, not a lot, actually, at that moment in time, as we just went on board with Ralph Cullinan there. We'll pick up what he can see coming. Oh, there's contact. Contact. Ayres is going to run wide. More contact there as well. You can see Jamie Ayres out in the right-hand side. We come back now, following Ralph Cullinan. Cullinan settles in once more. He can't see a lot. That's all he can see in his cockpit here, Tom, and that rain. If that's his vision path, he could be in deep trouble.
Well, at least he can see the brake lights in front of him. He can see Ayres going a little bit too deep. He was able to make the corner, as does Cullinan. Well, what about Hunt and Gould? Because they are coming through the field nicely now. They're coming into their stride. Roger Morton's done very well to maintain his position in front of all those in as we speak. And a little after being in the pits as we joined the race. We're looking to see who else is going to try and make their way through the field. I mean, Tom Griffiths is behind Steve Hefford, who's had an absolutely, I wouldn't say disaster, but he's continuing to have his moments.
Yep. Around he goes for Steve Hefford. Comes back on the racetrack.
That was dangerous.
Yeah, I think that was Charles Kellerman just managed to squeeze through. Griffiths has now got Morton running side by side. 8.5 minutes on the clock. We're on lap 3. Morton is in front of Griffiths. His teammate Newman is behind. I wonder if he's going to be doing a little bit of a hold-up to try and keep Pete Newman through. Up front, Dan Hunt, Ralph Cullinan running side by side here as well.
We've just seen Hunsford drop down the order. I think he's had a spin as Hunsford, unfortunately. We are looking at Cullinan and Hunt going into turn 1. How is this going to play out?
Well, it's panned out that Hunt has managed to get the job done. So, yeah, Dan Hunt does make it through on Cullinan. Van Gaal's in the mix now. The Irishman are holding on to the second place for at least 4 laps. You can see in the background Morton, Griffiths and Newman. They're continuing to fight once again, but it is this run up into Remus we go. Ayres in front, then Hunt in second. Then Van Gaal, Cullinan. Then we've got Morton, Griffiths, Morton on the curbs. That's going to allow his teammate through. Can't touch the curbs in the rain because that's what happens.
Yeah, I mean, the curb could be your friend in dry, but it's your enemy in the rain, most certainly. You don't want to be touching the curbs in wet conditions. Anyhow, Jamie Ayres still ahead of Dan Hunt, who's got through on Ralph Cullinan, as is Pete Van Gaal into third position. And Charles Kellerman, after just missing Steve Hefford, after Hefford had his spin, is closing in on Roger Morton a little bit.
Yeah, Morton's got to be careful not to keep hitting them curves. The up front is still Ayres, then Hunt, then PVG, then Ralph Cullinan. That's why I was against rain, as you cannot see in front of you. This is also true, Phil, but this is what the guys and the conditions they have been dealt. 7 minutes to go. We're only coming on to lap 4, the end of lap 4. It's going to be close how many more they're going to get. I think it could just be 7 laps, but let's see here as Jamie Ayres leads the way. Hunt's tucked in, PVG, Ralph Cullinan all behind him as well. Can Cullinan actually see anything as he's got 2 cars kicking up the spray? Well, he sees hardly anything. Look at that puddle. Oh.
Yeah. Steve Hefford has had another moment as well. He's got
PVG!
He's got another spinner as well. Is that Roger Morton? No, it's not. It's Pete Newman. Pete Newman is also spun.
Did Roger just PVG go on his own here?
Yeah, he's caught the curb. He caught the curb on the outside. In fact, the top 3 all did, and it's the standing water on the green patch there on the turf, and Pete Newman just spun around by his own.
Did exactly the same thing. That's still keeping Ralph Cullinan in the top 3. Then we got Wilson down here with Sampson and Kellerman. These guys are scrapping it out further down as well. Very, very interesting. The fact that Morton's 9.5 seconds ahead of Kellerman in the AMS. So Roger Morton leading the way as Sampson moves out to try and find his breaking point. Wilson's in there as well. He's going to try and sweep round the outside, stay off the curb. Oh, man. This rain just looks a bit of a nightmare, to be honest with you, Tom.
Yes, absolutely. And Wilson through ahead of who's that he's fighting with? That's got to be Martin Sampson, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it just shows that anyone can spin around at any time. We've seen it from Steve Hefford a few times now, and we've seen it from Pete Van Gogh, who's dropped down to 5th place in class behind Tom Griffiths, and it's still all to play for. We're on lap number 5, aren't we? I think we are still looking at an 8-lap race. It certainly won't be 9, but you can just see they're almost like they're tiptoeing round turn number 6 there, because they know they don't want to get the power down too soon.
Look at the puddle on the left. You've just got... That is literally rain soaked. You know, you've got to put the car in the puddle, and you really, really, really don't want to put the car in the puddle, because it just leads into some aquaplaning mission. But they've got to try and stay out of it if they can, but there's just nowhere to go in a circuit that's completely and utterly soaked. PVG has gone round.
Goals spun again, James. He's spun again at turn 9.
Oh, PVG. Sideways already, coming in there, and unfortunately he's gone round. Now it's still Jamie Ayres, Dan Hunt with Ralph Cullinan in the background. Griffiths has found himself up into 4th, but who's going to be the rain master? Well, Darren McLean and Martin Sampson battling it out as well further down. Oh, no, there was contact. Darren McLean managed to hold it.
Yeah, I don't know whether was it McLean that was in position there? I couldn't quite tell there. But we're looking at Dan Hunt and Jamie Ayres as they exit turn number 3. That is Remus, and now they're coming down to Schlossgold, who is going to be later on the brakes. Ralph Cullinan will be happy to be watching these two fight it out, because goodness knows how this could end up. Hunt on the inside of Ayres. Ayres has had his moments at this particular corner throughout this evening. He will not want another one of those. Thankfully, he doesn't on this occasion. But Dan Hunt is just waiting for his time to really pounce here.
Yeah, Dan Hunt now tucked in behind Jamie Ayres. Is he going to be able to get the job done? They're not going to have long. It's going to be a 2:04 best lap time. And they've... Oh, look at the rain. It is just an absolute flood. And Dan Hunt trying to hold on, but it's very, very difficult. You see right in behind Jamie Ayres now. And unfortunately for him, it's not a lot. Oh, both of them going sideways. Both of them going sideways. Very, very difficult conditions. You can see, look at the puddle coming out the final corner.
Yeah, they really are struggling. You can just see they're struggling to keep the car in a straight line. And Hunt goes wide and has to counter the oversteer.
Yeah, he manages to hold on. They did just make it in line there as well, but Ralph Cullinan has come through, taking that 2nd place here as well. There's going to be, well, just about, we think, one more lap, depending on how they get on here as well. But there's been some disasters for some people, and, well, great success for the likes of Ralph Cullinan.
Absolutely. So Cullinan taking advantage of other drivers' mistakes to get into 2nd position. And Newman continuing to drop back. I think Tom Griffiths had a moment on the last lap as well, hence why he's behind Roger Morton in 5th. Jamie Wilson is at a respectable one as well. Charles Kellerman has had a relatively clean race so far. He's just falling behind Martin Sampson, but they are in different classes to each other. Pete Van Gogh is ahead of Hefford and Newman in the class. And who's going to be on the podium now? So it looks like it's going to be Morton, Kellerman and McLean. As they go into combat, do Kellerman and McLean. So this could get interesting.
Yeah, Kellerman and McLean that are in the arms are battling it out for the final spot here. You can see Dan Hunt is right behind Ralph Cullinan once more. coming down. Hunt's going to have that inside line. He's been using that all evening as Dan Hunt. Is he going to be able to hold on coming through the exit of Roush? He does. What about coming into Worth? Turn 7. Still got the job done. He should leave Cullinan room on the outside. Cullinan's not quite brave, and well, saying that, the Irish spirit comes through of Ralph Cullinan, battling away here. Dan Hunt side by side now. And all of a sudden, it's still going off between Ralph Cullinan and Dan Hunt. Oh!
Oh, contact! That was coming all along. I knew that was coming. I mean, that was coming all along. It was a matter of when those two were going to come together, and that is most certainly going to be investigated after.
Yeah, Jamie Ayres takes the white flag. He's out in front now. Steve Hefford and Pete Newman find themselves together on the racetrack. Further down, this is a battle for 11th and 12th place. But it is Jamie Ayres takes the final lap of the race. He takes the white flag. He's out in front by 4 seconds. Ayres should wrap this one up. He should be able to wrap it up. Hunt's going to get second, and Cullinan should keep his place on the podium here. As he goes over the line, Pete Newman manages to keep that position away. What about Charles Kellerman and Darragh McLean? Well, McLean's got in front of Kellerman. That's second place for Darragh McLean. Then we've got Griffiths. He's chasing down at the back end of Roger Morton here. So a lot of action still to come over this final lap here, Tom. But I can tell you what, that rain, whew, caused some issues.
Yeah, it's certainly caused some issues throughout the last 15 minutes or so. It looks like Jamie Ayres is going to take a comfortable victory. We're looking at Tom Griffiths, who's looking to get through on Roger Morton. This won't make any difference to his pro position. We'll want to get by him anyway. Jamie Wilson, Martin Sampson, a little bit apart from each other. Gall is ahead of Kellyman, but he's not in front of McLean just yet. But I think this race is pretty much done and dusted. Griffiths getting through on Morton. Ooh, that was very close to Griffiths spinning around there, but it looks like he's got 4th place sewn up. Or has he? Because he's just allowed Morton to go back through again.
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of contact that may have aided that one. And it is going to be Ayres is going to come through the final couple of corners through the right-hander of turn 9. Jamie Ayres is going to get this job done and is going to take the victory here. And Roger Morton should wrap up the ARM win, but Jamie Ayres is going to come over the line in a rain-soaked Red Bull ring for race number 4. Got the job done. Dan Hunt's going to come over in second with Ralph Cullinan in third, who had contact with Hunt and managed to have a big enough gap to basically make sure that he did manage to hold on to it there as well. Roger Morton's going to come over the line in the AM victory. Is he going to take 4th overall? It's a run down to the line with him and Tom Griffiths, but I think Morton's going to get there. Morton is going to get there, gets the job done for him. It looks like Pete Newman, unfortunately, he's had another bit of a moment as he's off the side of the circuit there as well. Pete Newman coming, well, he was fighting out with Steve Hefford there, Tom, so we'll see what happened.
Yeah, it looks like he had another moment again into, what was it, turn number 7? Yeah, he spun round, carried too much speed, gone quite a long way into the gravel as Pete Newman.
Yeah, he definitely is.
That was one to forget for him, wasn't it?
Yeah, it definitely was, but it's been a tough night for some of these guys as well. So Alan Toon facing the wrong way as well. He's going to be looking at coming over to finish off this race. Poor old Tooney. Not at the greatest end there. Where is Andy Littler? Littler's all the way round in turn 7. Rain, rain, rain has really made race 4 very, very interesting.
It does, and it feels like it's almost like it's a predictable thing every week that we are having rain for at least one of the races.
Yeah, definitely. But I think it brings a great little bit of spice to the evening. So we'll wait for Andy Littler to come over the line. He's going through turn number 9 and then through turn number 10. So good job from him. Unfortunately, well, bad race. Starting from 5th, ending up down in 18th for Andy Littler. So tough for him, but let's bring you up the results of this feature race. Jamie Ayres is your winner with Dan Hunt and Ralph Cullinan. You're 1, 2, 3 in the podium. Roger Morton takes in a victory here this evening as well. Tom Griffiths, Martin Sampson, Jamie Wilson and in for 5th, 6th and 7th. Darren McLean in 8th, then PVG in 9th, then Charles Kellerman 10th, Steve Everett 11th, Pete Newman in 12th, Steve Ansford, Fiona Siddons, Colin Sampson, Sir Alan Toon, Darryl Wright and Andy Littler. And then behind that, Mick Barry did not finish the race and Ollie Ricks did not start there either. So, yeah, very interesting evening, but rain again proves the great equaliser.
It did very much, and one driver that took advantage of it was Jamie Ayres, who showed no sign of stopping. After a dismal race he had, I think it was the race before or race 2, I can't quite remember. But he managed to win out in the end and master the conditions, so hats off to him.
Yeah, he definitely did there as well. So a great job from Jamie Ayres. That's going to bring it to an end. Don't forget, join us later on for the BSC NASCAR from Chicago Street Circuit with myself and Ken at Sport App. But I've been James Parfitt. I've been in the booth with Tom Cairnes here this evening. And as always, guys, take care. Have a great week. And you never know, we might see you on the track sometime. Good night.